Man, these major conferences are pretty long, aren't they? Sony's had a lot to reveal, so in the interest of time, I'm going to boil it down to the major talking points. Big reveals, stuff we haven't seen already that looks interesting. Also, we're keeping an eye out for any cringy stuff, and as always, Cringe Watchdog will let you know when to expect it. Let's get to it. First thing you'll notice about the conference is apparently they decided to have it in a church. The place seems really cramped. If I were there, I'd wonder if I was in the wrong place or if I'd accidentally walked into a cult meeting. Apparently Sony just didn't have the budget for anything better. Since it's just not a conference without a live performance, Jeb Bush comes on stage with a banjo and starts to play. The first game that they introduce explains why they decided to go with the church. It's almost the exact mirror image of the church they're using for the Sony conference. Lord have mercy on my soul, I feel like this E3 has made me age 100 years. There's an awkward lesbian dancing scene, and they kiss, and... well, it's obvious they're aiming to beat Battlefield 5 for the game that best represents 2018. After a long scripted bit of gameplay, they give us a title. It's The Last of Us 2. Don't get me wrong, it looks great, and if it plays anything like it does here in this trailer, it's definitely going to be worth keeping an eye out for. It's easy to tell that they don't have much to show us here at this conference because they keep talking about the games they've just shown instead of just throwing us right to the next game. Later on into the conference, Sony doubles down on the live musical performances, and they've apparently switched venues? The theme for the Sony conference is clearly confusion, cause I have no idea what's happening half the time. Finally, we get to a game worth talking about. Japanese Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I'm kidding, it's a game called Ghost of Tsuhima? I have no idea. It looks fantastic, and the fighting looks fluid and interesting. But as with games that look incredible at these conferences, I always expect the reality to be underwhelming. Regardless, this game seems like a high point for the conference after a very slow start. It seems like they want to keep going strong and aim for the most powerful mid-conference of E3, because the next game is the Resident Evil 2 remake. I've got a really good friend in real life that loves Resident Evil, and Resident Evil 2 is definitely one of his favorite games, so I know he'll be super psyched about this news. Maybe not so much about the release date in January, though.
From ChunkyBeef's and the new creator of Rick and Morty.
Hey, what's up everybody? I'm Bathtub Guy, and we're here at E3 to take some looks at this new game I'm going to show you right now. Trevor Saves the Universe.
Then the creators of Rick and Morty have teamed up with some random game studio. Justin Roiland has a hand in it, of course. Trevor Saves the Universe is the name of the game. Not exactly a huge deal, the trailer was kinda cringy. Kingdom Hearts 3 trailer, and we finally get some new information for once. A Pirates of the Caribbean themed land, likely based on Stranger Tides, I think. All the movies kind of blend together for me, but holy shit, the models so far in this land are amazing. Way better than what we'd seen from the Frozen trailer. There's also a little bit of elaboration on the previously announced worlds, and man, this is what I was hoping for. I'm super happy about this, very satisfied. Then we get a trailer for the much anticipated Norman Reedus simulator. The first real information we've gotten about this game in several months now. Hideo Kojima is definitely an eccentric game developer, but I'm happy with the trailer, which shows off Norman Reedus traversing several locales within the game. My hopes weren't very high for the Sony conference, especially with that awful start, but so far it's exceeded all my expectations. Next up, we get a look at the new Spider-Man game. You know, the combat reminds me a little bit of the better Spider-Man games, so it's possible the devs took a good look at those games for how they wanted to do their combat here. I love Spider-Man, and I think he's got a great rogues gallery, so this whole trailer is really cool, and I think it's worth watching in full. There are several games I don't go over here, like Nioh 2 and Control, but for the most part, Sony knocked it out of the park. It's almost like they purposely started out like shit, actually. A hell of a gamble, considering the rest of E3 was pretty poor, but surprisingly, it worked out for them. As for the E3 leaks, well, does anyone care at this point? I just kinda want to sit here and reflect over how solid Sony's conference was. I'll be honest, I watch E3 for Nintendo pretty much exclusively, and even as a Nintendo fanboy, I think Nintendo's got a tough act to follow here. Let's hope they bring their A game. Thanks for sticking around. You know the drill by now. Subscribe if you want more, follow me on social media. Hopefully, I'll see you tomorrow, where we finally wrap up all this E3 chaos.